A great fighter once said, "It ain't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward."
See this guy here? That's the toughest opponent you're ever going to have to face. I believe that's true in the ring, and I think that's true in life. Now show me something.
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. As you probably know, there's a new Sylvester Stallone movie out, which is basically a new Rocky movie, and it's kind of made history because Sylvester Stallone has won a Golden Globe, his first Golden Globe for his role in Creed, which kind of takes the Rocky story, takes it off into a new direction, so it's kind of a spin-off, but it is effectively a Rocky sequel.
If I break, if I'm hurt, whatever, I ain't gonna fix it. Why bother?
And I'm just some bum that's living in your crib, just nothing.
You're a good kid and a good fighter. But you got your whole future ahead of you. Mine? Back there, like all them guys on that wall. In the back. In the past.
You may remember years and years ago that I said that I had interviewed Sylvester Stallone at the Cannes Film Festival, in which he said that he didn't want to do any more Rambo or Rocky movies because going back to do that stuff would be stupid, and I kind of agreed with him. And yet the great surprise about Creed is that it turns out to be really very decent. What better time to give you my top 5 Sylvester Stallone movies? Now, as you probably know, early on in his career, Stallone had small roles in movies, like he was a thug in Woody Allen's Bananas, but at number 5, an early Stallone movie, Lords of Flatbush, in which he co-stars alongside the likes of Henry Winkler. It's actually a very good performance. Roger Ebert thought it was a kind of eye-catching performance. Also notable for the fact that originally, apparently he was co-starring alongside Richard Gere. But Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone didn't get on very well. The producers had to decide which one of them stayed. Turned out it was Stallone. At number 4, a film which not everybody feels as fondly about as I do, Demolition Man. Now, the interesting thing with Demolition Man is it's a kind of enjoyable, futuristic romp with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes and an early performance by Sandra Bullock. What's interesting about it is that, as far as I'm concerned, not only is it a very decent and enjoyable movie, but also it undoes the damage done by Judge Dredd. Now, that's saying something. On to number 3, and perhaps a controversial choice, First Blood, also known as Rambo First Blood Part 1, confusingly, in order to distinguish it from Rambo First Blood Part 2. Never mind. The fact of the matter is that the Rambo series earned itself a reputation as being a certain kind of meat-headed action movie, which actually isn't what the first film is like. Not unlike Death Wish, the first movie is very different to what came. And what's really fascinating about watching First Blood, again, is realizing just how conflicted, just how anti-heroic that central character is. It is, in fact, a very fine adaptation of an interesting novel by David Morrell, and at the heart of it is a very solid performance by Sylvester Stallone, before Rambo just became a ridiculous caricature. On to number 2, and arguably Stallone's most popular and famous role in Rocky. Stallone got 2 Oscar nominations for Rocky, both for playing Rocky Balboa on screen and for writing that script. And it was the role which would in many ways define his career. The fact that that character is still working now in films like Creed says something about just how much it tapped into the popular consciousness. But once again, it's possible to forget just how smart, just how subtle, just how nuanced that performance is. It's not about somebody beating 7 bells out of somebody else in a boxing ring. It is a film about, and I hate to say this, personal discovery and triumphing over all odds. Which brings us to the number 1 spot, and it will be no surprise whatsoever to learn that my favourite Sylvester Stallone movie is, of course, Copland. Why? Because he plays a character who is, to some extent, physically weak. In fact, his character is compared constantly to James Stewart's character from It's a Wonderful Life. It's a really tender performance, and it was the point in Stallone's career when he was trying to redefine himself, to move away from being an action star and become known more as a character actor, as they like to call it in America. Funnily enough, it was whilst he was promoting Copland that Sylvester Stallone told me, "I never want to do another Rocky movie." The new Rocky movie actually worked out rather well, but in Copland we see evidence of what Sylvester Stallone is really capable of, and put in the hands of a director who believes in him, who's willing to go with his instincts and willing to see beyond the action facade. For me, Copland is still Sylvester Stallone's best and, sadly, probably most underrated performance. So there we go, that's my top 5 Sylvester Stallone movies. What about you? What have I left out? Maybe you're one of the people who thinks that Sylvester Stallone's brief foray into musical comedy has been overlooked. Let me know.